Welcome back, and as we mentioned earlier before the break, we have a new segment here in BNL, and that is Business Movers, where we feature top business leaders, the movers and shakers of the Philippine economy. Much is known about their business acumen and their contribution to the domestic business landscape, but little is known about their persona. So let's meet them more intimately, and this week we have the president of PhilExport, Mr. Sergio Ortiz-Luis.
Mr. Sergio Ortiz-Luis might as well be called the father of Philippine export because he has devoted much of his professional life in this field. How was he in his early years, and what led him to take on the field of export as his lifelong achievement? He was born in Cabuyao, Nueva Ecija, a middle child with 4 other siblings. His father was a lawyer who eventually became a businessman.
My mother was a graduate of nutrition in Philippine Women's, and she used to teach there. She was very close to Helen Benitez noong araw, and during the Japanese time, they used to stay behind Philippine Women's in Pennsylvania at the time. Leon Ginto was Pennsylvania at the time, but during the withdrawal of the Japanese, the place was burned down. I grew up in Nueva Ecija, and some of the regrets that I have for my children is they never experienced yung na-experience ko sa probinsya na parang feeling ko parang sila Tom Sawyer at Huckleberry Finn noong araw yung naliligo ka sa ilog, sometimes magnanakaw ng pakwan, singkamas, hahabulin ka nung nag-aalaga sa inyo dahil bawal maligo sa ilog. Tsaka yung mga natutunan, paggawa ng kanya-kanyang gumagawa kami ng aming laruan ng araw, yung mga kiskisan sa lagubang, tsaka yung mga sulot-sulot. Ngayon lahat ng laruan binibili noong araw kami, gumagawa kami, tsaka pati mga espada namin kami gumagawa noong araw. So, yun ang isang hindi natikman ng mga anak ko na kaya ako nung lumaki ko sa probinsya hanggang grade 6 nag-aaral ako sa Cabuyao, grade 7 ako sa San Juan de Letran. Nung una medyo mahirap ang adjustment dahil probinsyano ako, pati accent ko, pati yung English ko mali yung apple ko apple yung turo sa amin doon tsaka yung genuine kami anyway, eventually I caught up, and I thought I had a big advantage over my classmate who never really experienced provincial life.
He went to Letran for grade 7 and went to De La Salle for his high school and college years. And every summer break, he couldn't wait to go home to his hometown.
I was excited because I long for the life. Noong araw pa, nag-aalaga ako ng mga aso ko. So, yung mga aso ko, marami na iiwas sa probinsya. Dadalawa lang yung nadadala namin dito sa Manila. So, excited ako pagka bakasyon na.
Because his father was his role model, he initially wanted to become a lawyer. But as things turned out, he took up his MBA at the De La Salle University instead. Unlike other young, energetic boys, he never really turned to sports as a major preoccupation, though he played some basketball in his younger years.
As a matter of fact, I'm more into arts. No? At the time, I thought I was being pulled also because parang meron akong artistic tendency sa painting, sculpture, but I thought that's not going to feed me or my family, so I tried to kill that tendency.
He graduated from his liberal arts course in 1964 and from his business degree in 1965. After his MBA degree and after he married, he landed his first job in Palawan, in the vast business of an uncle where he operated an electric plant in Puerto Princesa. He ventured into logging, road construction, even running a large hacienda, and he considered this his acid test.
We have about 3,000 people working for us at the time. And and I was a fresh graduate. So in the evening, merong college doon, mga Dominican sisters, branch of UST. And nagturo ako doon in the evening. Pagka naiinip ako, until I had friends and I had things to do, naghinto lang ako magturo. From there, I moved back. I got sick for a while. Nagkaroon ako ng kidney problem because of insect bites sa lagi. Nagkaroon ako ng what they call the nephritis. So I had to rest. I was almost bedridden for 9 months. And after that, I work. My uncle asked me if I can handle it. They entered a joint venture sa Norbacan, Ilocos Sur. They have a textile mill there. It's a textile mill that was set up by then President Quirino because he wanted to shift tobacco in the north, partly to growing cotton. So he set up that. At the height of the operation, there were only 2 industries there, I remember at the time. That one and the tobacco drying plant. And the height of the number of employees in the textile mill was about 8,000. So I operated that for about 3 years. And then when martial law was declared, I thought it was time to go back to Manila. So I worked with another company, and that was making pipes and also contracting.
In the various jobs that he ventured into, there was surprisingly a whole lot of engineering work involved, something that was not really a part of his educational background.
After that, I joined my sisters in their export business, and that is my first in export.
His first taste of export must have wielded such a big impact that he never left the industry. Together with 4 colleagues, they set up PhilFoodX, and soon after set up the Agricultural Machineries Manufacturers Association, as he got involved in the manufacture of agricultural machineries. Back then, there were 2 major export associations, the Confederation of Philippine Exporters, or COFE, or COFE, and PhilExport that competed for foreign funding. The World Bank and USAID's position that funding 2 big entities was not acceptable, so the Department of Trade and Industry virtually squeezed the 2 associations to merge.
I was the one who put up the team of the Confederation of Philippine Exports. I was not with PhilExport at the time.
After initiating the merger, Philippine Export began to surge ahead. Mr. Sergio Ortiz-Luis was instrumental in having the Export Development Act of 1994 passed during the time of President Fidel Ramos, who he credits for his vision of export's role in our economy.
Noong 80s, we were still under dollar control, and exporters were really fighting for freeing the dollars. So eventually, it was one of the successes. Eventually, they realized that you have to free the dollars. But you have to remember also at the time, we defaulted. We defaulted in 81. Nagpagsakan nga yung mga financing companies because we defaulted in our credits. So, and at the time, the export of the Philippines was what you really call traditional exports, which is abaca, timber, sugar, and partly some of the minerals that we were exporting. So those are basically the export.
It took a while before we broke the $10 billion mark. But during Fidel V. Ramos's time, the country experienced the biggest growth in exports in Asia, though this wasn't enough to make ours a tiger economy. There was a time in the 90s that exports accounted for 50% of our GDP.
In 1998, I remember, at the height of the crisis of the time, Asian crisis, we were number one in export. We grew by 29% that year, while the rest of the countries in the region was negative. We grew by 29%, and that was the biggest growth that we had. So for the first time, we broke a lot of record. Now we're doing about $60 billion, but to harder $10 billion was quite a feat at the time.
In recent years, Philippine exports began to decline, and by 2014, we recovered enough to approximate our standing in 2010.
While we are saying na pinakamalaki yung growth natin in this part of the world in terms of percentage, what is regrettable is that the fact that maliit na yung export natin compared to the others. So if we grow by 10%, baka equivalent lang nung in total value yun, yung growth about 2% or 3% ng harating bayan natin. Like for instance, the export of Vietnam is almost 2.5 times of our export already. They have overtaken us 3 years ago.
Mr. Ortiz-Luis also laments the fact that after FBR, the succeeding administrations did not share their faith in the great potentials of export, relying instead on our OFWs for our dollars. The Department of Trade and Industry, responsible for attracting foreign direct investment and for trade expansion, which includes export, has one of the smallest budgets in the cabinet at a little over 3 billion pesos. Of this, Ortiz-Luis reckons that only about 100 million pesos net goes to export. Considering that our exports now total over 8 trillion pesos, the serious imbalance is lamentable. Mr. Sergio Ortiz-Luis's time is mostly taken up by his advocates, especially those that involve MSMEs, and he sits in the board of several foundations and civic organizations, among them Patrol 117. How does he spend his leisure time?
I play golf as an exercise. But if you play it regularly, you cannot help but enjoy it, no? And so I hate doing exercises, and I only do it because now I enjoy it, no? And that's why I try to do it regularly. And nung araw kasi yung sport ko is hindi naman, it's swimming in the table. I played mahjong before. Pero kami lang magkakamag-anak, kami magkakapatid, kami magpipisan, and it was fun. But it certainly is not an exercise.
Life at home is peaceful and easy, surrounded by his wife, his 2 sons, and his beloved dogs.
I have 2 sons. One is married and the other one is still single.
Like many successful businessmen, he has traveled to all corners of the world, though he doesn't consider himself a tourist at heart.
I have to travel a lot. There was a time that, like for instance, during the time of President Ramos, we really take our accompanying as a serious job, selling the country and trying to attract investment. And I think, to a big degree, he himself was very successful because, we owe a lot of the export development to the coming of the electronics industry here. FBR na, ilang beses kami pumunta sa Silicon Valley to attract investment at the time.
Because of too many official travels, he tries to coincide his leisure travel with the official ones.
I go to a place to visit people, to visit certain, or to do a job. But if I'm just going to go there for a tourist, if I've been there, And most of the place I've been, I have no interest anymore. Especially after 911, with the hassle in the airport, the hassle in security, saka yung things that go wrong whenever you travel, if I can help it, I won't travel. Even invited at libre.
We found Mr. Ortiz-Luis at his home in a very relaxed mood with his wife and one of his sons. His various plaques of recognition, his awards and achievements proudly fill out a big wall in the living room. With his rich legacy, we asked him which of these he would like to be remembered by and where he gets the energy to continue fighting for his advocacies.
I hope that there can be some legacy I can leave in the export side. No? We initiated a lot of projects there, but I'm sure even at that time, people like forget. They forget, for instance, that I initiated yung BIM Iaga. I was the one who started that. No? I was the one, and I think the Philippine the Franchise Association had recognized me for that because I was the one who supported the setting up of the Franchise Association and franchise industry. I supported them for 1 year because at the time I had the U.S. aid facilities which I allocated them. We started yung opening the Retail Trade Act. I was the one who commissioned the study for that. No? Even the first opening of the first 10 banks in the Philippines, I was the one who commissioned that. Foreign banks. Yung barcoding that you see. Kung araw kasi, wala pa computer, wala pa yung paglalabas ka ng supermarket, ginagawa ka resibo isa-isa, walang barcode. I was the one who started commission and brought the expert here for the barcoding. And we were able to, but more than all, I think, if ever the country will be successful as an exporting country, I would like to be remembered as the one who babied the Export Development Act of the law. It's hard to get tired if you enjoy the work. You enjoy the people you work with, you enjoy the people you are able to help. If there is anything that I really like doing is what I started in PhilExport.
And what advice would he like to pass on to young entrepreneurs or exporters?
A lot of people are tempted to go to export, but the attrition in export is very high. A lot of companies go in a certain year, it doesn't even last 2-3 years, they close down. No? Because export is not for a company that is marginally managed nor marginally capitalized. No? Medyo mahaba-haba yung PC mo. Kung ako sa inyo, nagsusupplier muna ako na exporter. Mag-member ka ng association ng particular, kung sa food, mag-member ka na PhilFoodX, kung sa furniture ka, mag-member ka ng Chamber of Furniture, kung sa handicrafts ka, kung yung sa handicraft associations, marami yan, malaman mo, matuto ka, mag-supply ka rin sa mga member doon. Pag medyo kabisado mo na, nung ka to venture in it, you must enjoy what you want to do. Don't do it if you don't think you will enjoy it. Because yung capacity mo to stay on, to sustain, nasa level ng enjoyment mo. And secondly, even doon sa mga kanegosyo mo, kalaban mo, yung mga tao mo, importante sa kanila na makita yung loyalty mo sa kanila, sincerity mo, na hindi ka nalalama, na nobody fears that iisahan mo sila. Importante yun. Whether you talk of big business, small business, it is important that you are perceived as somebody who doesn't do hanky-panky, na fair ka at loyal ka rin sa mga kasama mo.
nuggets of wisdom from a well-respected businessman. You have just met up close and personal Mr. Sergio Ortiz-Luis, President of PhilExport and one of the country's business movers.